Let's go, baby, dude. Oh my god, what a nightmare that almost was. But Vizca Barca, Ronald Araujo, brother, man. Lo siento, amigo. I'm sorry, dude. Uh, what a nightmare that game was. There's a lot to talk about, a lot to go over, a lot of bad, some good, a lot of weird. Ronald Araujo playing Cam, pressing like a striker, not understanding his position at the end, and then scoring the game winner. Hansi Flick's getting sent off, and then giving the ref a little bit of, a little bit of a gesture action. He's getting suspended for a couple of games. If Lewandowski got suspended for going like that, who knows what's gonna happen to Hansi now, dude? But main takeaway here is we got 3 points, right? That's the important part here. Game was all over the place. In the beginning, there was a lot of good, right? A lot of chances, a lot of good, healthy possession, and then Pedri scored a fantastic goal. I think Pedri was really, really good for most of it. Probably the best player on the pitch for a while, but then he looked gassed. He looked so tired by like the 50th minute. I want to say everyone looked tired. Frankie looked tired at the beginning of the second half, and Pedri, though, he clearly didn't have it in him. They had to cover so much of the pitch. I'm sure he was running a ridiculous amount because they kept giving chances to Girona. Girona kept getting in behind. The high line wasn't working, and that means everybody has to track back, and then Pedri has to go forward with the ball. He's like the ball progression boy, especially without Lamine cooking as much. He was good in the first half, then he wasn't great in the second, and he kind of slowed down. Obviously, came back from injury, was still warming into the season before he went out to injury, because he was out to another injury before that. Then Axel Witsel scored a bicycle kick. What the hell happened? This game was ridiculous, boys. If you didn't watch it, you kind of missed out. It was wild, but not all good. I think the best way to do this, we'll look at the stats here for a second. I just want to show you, kind of give you guys a representation of how the game did go. A lot of chances, a lot of opportunity here for Girona. Too much, I would argue. I think a lot of it was because the high line wasn't working that well. It seemed like Eric Garcia was holding their guys on a little bit too much. If I was going to scapegoat one guy, but it was kind of just overall not looking great, partially because, again, the press isn't that good. I'm not surprised the press isn't that good, especially with like Tony Fernandez in there, because he doesn't have the intensity that Fermin Lopez or Rafinha does. I also saw a ton of coaching from Frankie de Jong, who, because there was no striker, was occupying this weird like number 10 spot and had to he was like the link-up guy, right? He was going to hold up play, link up with one of the forwards. That's what his role was. He was going to rush forward from the midfield, sometimes making runs, but not really making runs, more so standing at the back line, holding a guy off so that the midfielders could pass to him, and then he could distribute to the guys around him. It didn't really work out that well. A couple times, though, it did look good, and though because there was no striker, because he's one of the bigger guys on the field, which is wild. He's only like 5'11". He's literally my size. He's not that big of a dude, but he's one of the bigger guys on the pitch at this point. With everybody out, Ferran Torres, Lewandowski, Araujo coming in, and he had to coach everybody. I was watching him like yell orders to Tony Fernandez, who most of you guys know is just a kid. I think he's 17 from La Masia. There's a lot of potential there. He didn't look great today. A lot of the guys didn't look great today, though, and I think probably the best way to go about it is just to go. I'll talk about the stats here. 1.8 XG for us, 1.84 XG for them. Really, really bad split there. I think if we have a striker in there, that changes. I think even like a Ferran Torres who knows how to occupy that space, it felt like in the second half, it just wasn't clicking. People weren't running into the right spaces. Rashford had a lot of opportunities too, and I think Rashi was great today. I really think Marcus was good. It wasn't clicking because a lot of guys were playing out of position or being asked to do things they don't normally do. And obviously that's going to make guys a little bit uncomfortable. They're not going to make the right decisions as well as someone who's used to playing in those positions would. It ended up with us only having 2 big chances. We ended up finishing one of them. Thank God Girona missed a couple of chances, but also I think Mateo Lahoz, that wasn't Lahoz, it was I forgot his name. Whatever, it doesn't matter. The ref sucked, dude. Oh my God, was off his game. He was a disaster, making really weird calls. We had a goal for Kubarsi completely ruled out because there was a foul in the play on the corner where Casado kind of runs into the guy, it very much seemed like when, a guy kind of throws himself to the ground when they know the ball passes them. It really looks like that where I think it was Vitor Reis, kind of just, he feels contact from behind and he just kind of goes down, right? He lets himself fall, hopefully to end play or whatever, to draw a foul in case something good happens, and that's exactly what happened. I hate when things like that are happen. I feel like in the Premier League, that's allowed to play on. They're a lot tougher. They don't call these nonsense calls. They let the guys play football more so than they do in La Liga. And I really, really hate to say it. I'm not even saying Premier League is perfect in the way they referee and everything. But compared to La Liga, it's really, it looks like a utopia in refereeing. It really is ridiculous. But we got out of it. We got 3 points, right? That's the big takeaway, whatever. Just crappy stuff like this happens every season for Barcelona or any team, and you got to kind of fight through it. You need to get those points to win La Liga, especially when you have so much competition, and it seems like they do against Real Madrid, especially when you have a match against Real Madrid the following week. A lot needs to happen. You need to go into that in a good position. I think getting 3 points here is huge, even if the team didn't play that well. Now, we can get into the rankings right now. It's been a little bit of a minute here. Szczesny made one really, really good save on a one-on-one. He made a couple saves in there, but that really stands out to me. The goal they scored, you can't really do anything about that at all, really. And thank God Girona missed a lot of chances. But because of that save, that kept us in the game, we didn't go down easily. I think a 7 or an 8. That's a one-on-one save. That's something you never expect a keeper to make, really. It's hard to make a save like that, and he did it. Huge, big up from him. The back line, it was a little uncomfortable today, for sure, letting a lot of guys in behind. We're not tracking those runs in, and I think part of that is because our midfield was not a midfield today, or it was much less so one where Frankie de Jong had to push so far forward, and I feel like he's usually the guy marking a lot of those midfield runs where Pedri and Casado don't necessarily do it as much. Frankie was so far forward, so nobody was really there as much to mark those runs, and Pedri has so much responsibility on the ball too that it's hard to expect him to do the same kind of work defensively as just an engine does. Like Frankie is more of that when Pedri's operating. Frankie operates so that Pedri can be on his best behavior, do whatever he wants. So that was not happening at all today. And it's just Eric Garcia and Cubarsí are just not, they're not on the same page. It's really sad that Inigo Martinez is not here. We all keep talking about it because it does suck. He was a leader back there. He helped coordinate it all, and it does look a little bit uncoordinated, and it needs to be able to maintain that high line. And on top of that, the pressure at the front needs to be better. It's hard to do that when everybody is gassed. Pedri is exhausted. He played in the international break. He played for Barcelona he started every match for Barcelona this season. It's a lot of football. I honestly kind of hope he gets benched against Olympiacos. Not the biggest, obviously it's a Champions League. You need points after losing to PSG, but more importantly, you need to preserve Pedri for as long as possible. He's so important to this team. I would honestly bench him. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens going forward. And then Tony Fernandez, wasn't great. We'll get in. Yeah, we're doing rankings, right? So backline, Eric Garcia, I didn't like him as much. I think he got a lot better in the second half when it felt like we needed people to take charge, be aggressive, and be certain with their decisions. He looked like he got a little bit better. Overall, not great though. But okay, 6.5 to Cubarsí as well, where I think he was maintaining the high line better than Garcia, but I think Eric was able to make bigger interceptions, and I don't know. I think they were both okay, but I don't know. I don't think the solution to the way the backline is playing is just a different center back. I don't know if you throw Van Dijk in here and the defensive things change significantly. I think it's very much so a system thing, and for the system to work, everyone on this team needs to be on the right page, and I think a lot of it has to do with the front line, like Cubarsí said in interviews a couple weeks ago. But that's not the whole story, right? The backline could be better. They could be, Eric Garcia and Cubarsí are not together. They were not together on a few of those non-offside calls, and you need to see that more. Koundé looked okay a couple of times, looked really good other times. Obviously was important in the build-up for Pedri's goal, was able to maintain the ball. Same with Frankie de Jong in that same play. But he did lose the ball in a few moments that led to some other chances for Girona, and it was just annoying to see. He wasn't 100% today. Maybe a 6, maybe a 7 just for the... I'm going to give him a 6.5. I really don't think he was that good. Seemed a little bit off of it for a little bit in the first half, and then, was able to get into it a little bit. Looks a lot more comfortable with Lamine up there, that's for sure. Helping going forward. He looks like he knows what to do. more so than in other moments when there's other guys on the right side. He did contribute to Pedri's goal. For that reason, though, I'm going to give him just a 6.5. I don't know. I didn't love him today. Balde, I really like Balde. I really like him. I need him and Rashford to play more together because it looked like a few times Rashford maybe took the ball where it should have been allowed to go out to Balde or vice versa. They don't link up perfectly well. I need to see them play together, get that chemistry up, and get that understanding of where one's going to be when certain things happen. Overall, though, I think he was better. Looked promising, at least, but not spectacular either. 6.5, 7, right? Same story. Casero now, I really think this was one of his better games. I really do. Especially in the first half. He looked to be intercepting the ball in the right space, especially in that good bit of the first half. I think he looked really, really good. In a way, I haven't made a ton of notes about him in the past few games that he's played. I haven't loved him when he's played, and I do think he was solid when he was in there. Did end up getting sacrificed to bring somebody else on. I think it was, maybe it was Christensen. And it was okay. I think Casado was pretty solid. I'll give him a 7. And actually, that's when Eric Garcia got better. When he moved into the midfield, I thought he was pretty good, but not spectacular. Right? The whole thing was all over the place. Frankie De Jong and Pedri had so much to do, so much responsibility, but by the simple fact that both of them were being asked to do different things than normal, because Pedri had a lot more to cover because he didn't have Frankie next to him, and Frankie was playing as like a second striker for a lot of it. And coaching his team around, and then getting the assist at the end of the game, I have to give him a 9, right? Or an 8.5, a 9. It wasn't perfect. There were a lot of weird decisions he made where you think if Ferran Torres is there, if someone more comfortable in that position, even Fermin is in that situation, something different happens. But Frankie was coaching Tony Fernandez the entire time. They were trying to press in the beginning, and it wasn't spectacular. It wasn't perfect, but no, I'll give Frankie an 8, 8.5. Pedri a 9. That goal was fantastic, but he got gassed. Needs a break for sure. Hopefully he gets it against Olympiacos. Lamine Yamal got the assist for Pedri's goal. I think he looked so good. And then again, like everybody, like a lot of the guys slowed down. I think a lot of them are really tired. But the assist was really good. There was a lot of other promising moments. He looked like Lamine. Looks like he needs to get his shooting boots back again, but more he plays, it's his first game back. I don't expect him to have it 100%. Give him another game. I would expect to play him against Olympiacos and for him to cook. Hopefully he does. Gets a ton of confidence to bring into the Madrid game. Hopefully he doesn't play the full 90. And I think an 8.5 is pretty solid considering he did die out a little bit and contribute a little bit less to the team as the game went on. Tony Fernandez, not his best work, but I can see some promising bits there. Links up pretty well. It seemed like he was taking a little bit more time on the ball than I think he would have, especially early on. But of course he is. He's still a youngster, still getting his first few minutes with the team. Fine, 5.5 maybe. Wasn't great by any means, but okay. Rashford, I thought he was really good. I need to see one of those chances go in, though. He made a couple passes in that second half to right at the end of there where it could have been a goal. It could have been something special. Could have changed the game for us, but it didn't. Wasn't everything that I needed in that moment, but looks promising, looks really good. I'm so happy we signed him. An 8, I think, is very solid. I need Rafinha back, though, because just the runs in the team making runs, it just wasn't there. Rashford makes a couple. Rafinha's runs are different. Lamine Yamal knows where he's going to. It seems a little bit like Pedri and Lamine, especially Lamine, because he's played so much more with Rafinha, are so used to the runs being made a certain way into certain spots. That wasn't necessarily happening today. And I think the way Rashford takes a shot where, especially from like the top right of the box, right where he's outside the box pretty far, but he takes those shots to the near post. Having someone rush near post, you saw Frankie do it a couple times, but someone with a little bit more intensity like Rafinha might be able to get ahead on that ball, deflect it into the net in the back corner maybe. I don't know. He's a little short. We'll see if that even happens, but I need to see Rafinha in this team. I want him to get it coming back. I think he should be back soon. Hopefully he's back for Madrid. Who knows? Though, when Fermin came on, I thought Fermin was pretty solid. Looks better than Tony Fernandez. Still not 100% obviously coming back from injury, but looks really good, and I need more minutes from him ASAP. 7, 7.5 I think is fair. Christensen came on, was fine, not great. I need to see more minutes from him. I really, really want him to play more because I think he's probably better defensively than Garcia, potentially Kubarsi as well, but hasn't played a ton this season. I don't know, maybe he's been knocked. He's always injured, so who knows. Bardghji looked okay. Couple of good moments there, a couple of solid decisions from him. Was able to, I think he connected with Frankie, played the ball to Frankie, who then played the ball to Araujo. But needs to get a little bit more chemistry with everybody, and I think a little bit more confidence in himself, and he's getting into good position. He clearly has the footwork and ability. It's just getting the finishing, getting the connection with his teammates. Once that comes, I think he can be a weapon, and I'm still looking forward to seeing him. Maybe a 5.5, 6. Gerard Martin, I don't think he did anything except one time he made a cross, or he potentially made a cross on his left foot. Didn't do much. Araujo, my guy, wow. Thank God he scored that goal, because that was going to be a mess, right? Going from losing to Sevilla 4-1 right after losing to PSG, it would have been tough to tie this game, especially with Hansi Flick getting the red card and everything. It would have been really tough to not have this win. I really wanted it. I know everybody really wanted it. The fans in the stadium were fuming at the ref, especially for calling out the goal. It didn't make sense. He blew the whistle after play had finished. The ball had gone into the net. I thought that's when play is over, but he ruled it off. VAR, it didn't seem was affected or do anything about it. I just think refereeing in La Liga is terrible. They are such a disaster in every game. If you watch more than just Barcelona and Real Madrid, they're terrible in every match for every team. But we came out with 3 points. I said that before. I'll say it again. That's the takeaway here. That's what's important. We're still competing. We're still in there, right in there for the trophy, and that's what matters. We need to get all these points as much as possible and fight the evilness that is the La Liga refereeing. Obviously, there was the moment of silence, too, that I want to talk about a little bit. If you guys don't know, all the teams in La Liga are kind of standing up for the fact that Barcelona and Villarreal's match, that's supposed to be away at Villarreal, has been moved to America. It's going to be played in Miami, I believe, and around Christmas and December. The teams don't like that, and they don't like it mainly because I think it's unfair. I think that's the main argument. A lot of people talk about how it's not fair to the local fans and everything, and I understand that argument, absolutely. I don't, Villarreal fans are losing a home game, and that sucks, but I think the bigger argument for the teams especially is just the fact that Barcelona are basically gaining a home game because they're going to go to America. Not only are both these teams going to make more money than all the other teams because they can, ask for inflated prices because they're the only game in America, and the Barcelona fans in America are going to go to this game. There are no Villarreal fans in America, or there aren't very many, and so it's not necessarily fair to them. And so Barcelona are benefiting where no other teams in world or in La Liga are, and that's the main argument. That's why everyone is talking about it and not playing for a moment, standing up against all of this. I understand that. I think that's fair. I think if one team or two teams get this, then every team should. But I don't think that's realistic. I don't think that'll ever happen because no one's going to watch a game between Alaves and Getafe in Ohio. You know what I mean? It's just not, it doesn't make sense for that to happen. And so for that reason alone, I don't think it's worth it. You can also make that argument for the fans locally, though. I don't know. That's the trend of the way the game is going. And Spanish fans are going to hate that because they already don't like, giddies. You know what I mean? They already have an issue with people traveling there, and now they're going to lose games to the global audience. And I understand that. I understand the argument. I also think that's how they make their money. If Barcelona especially want to maintain their structure as being owned by fans, they need to make more money, like all these other teams in the Premier League are able to pool in a ton of money. Real Madrid are even considering selling part of them. That's a whole different conversation, though. Barcelona won today, plus 3 points. And let me know what you guys saw. Maybe if I missed something, let me know. Let me know what you guys think about that moment of silence. No, it's not a moment of silence, but the protesting against Barcelona's match. Let me know what you think. It's not against Barcelona mainly. It's kind of against the RFEF or UEFA or whoever the hell is FIFA is allowing it. Let me know what you think, and I'll see all you guys midweek for the Olympiacos match, and hopefully good things happen. I think so. Visca Barça, boys, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.